So this is a video of Harlow for Veronica, because Veronica, I told you I was going to start doing this, so your horse is first up. So she always wants to be stiff on this left side and kind of heavy on that left rein. And this is probably about like 5 minutes into my ride, 5-10 minutes. So I've already had a little warm up. But now you can see I'm starting her on a small circle and really insisting that she accept my opening left rein and move off of my left leg, but not just like a 2x4. Like, she really needs to get into her body. I need to be able to get her shoulder and her rib cage wrapped around my inside leg. And maybe not most importantly, but the other goal is to get her to step over and start to put a little bit of weight in the right rein. So you can see here I'm actually physically like stepping up and over to the right to just kind of say like, get over to the right rein, and hold my hand out there so that we don't need this inside rein all the time to keep you bent and to keep you going in the direction of travel. So then I start same thing in the trot, just making sure that I can get her wrapped around my inside leg like it's a pillar that she's going to wrap around, and the outside rein is like a net that's catching her. And then I feel like she abandons the right rein a little bit and wants me to start pulling left to keep her on the line of travel. So I just go right ahead and change direction, like physically giving myself the right side by turning her to the right. And now as I'm going back left, I'm thinking to myself, okay, keep riding a little bit of right positioning, keep riding a little bit of right bend, just to make sure that we don't fall into bad habits of as soon as we go left, the right side gets abandoned and we just need the left rein to turn her. So I was thinking there, a little push off the left leg, make sure that she's pushing into my right rein. And now I'm putting on a circle and kind of saying, okay, now what can I do with the right rein? And you can see she sort of loses her hind end there for a second. And that's just feedback for me to think, probably going a little bit faster than what she can balance here. So if I'm going to do those small circles, really connecting the right side, I need to make sure she's going a little bit slower. And then again, I change direction and go back to the right. And right now when I'm going to the right, I'm thinking even in both reins, I'm thinking make sure that I've got almost a tunnel in between both legs and both hands, making sure that she's pushing into that right rein as well as the left, even though the left is technically on the outside this way. At any moment, I want to feel like I can have all four corners of her and make sure that she's connecting to both reins, not just the left rein, even when it's on the outside. And then again, I go ahead and change direction, and I'm thinking keep a little bit of right positioning, keep giving myself those outside half halting aids by riding her, almost thinking like I'm going right or I could turn right at any moment. And then when I feel like I've really got those aids, then I can start to add a little bit of push off my left leg. And yeah, I'm going to touch her with the left rein, but it's really about getting that shoulder and that rib cage to let go and start to push up and over into the outside rein, and then see if I can soften the left rein. Good. And this is better. And then I go and change direction again, I think. Same thing, never letting her get too set one way or the other, because she's very good at using consistency and direction kind of against you. She starts to find holes in our aids, and that's where she kind of leaks out. And then we have a little first canter transition. Not great, but nothing other than timing. So I let her canter a couple steps and then back to trot. And I try to address it in trot before I go back up into canter. So really putting my leg on and here to the right, making sure that she's following that right rein and not just bulging and falling out left. So there, that was a better canter transition because I was able to keep the energy flowing like from her tail to her ears and not have it leak out the left shoulder when she went up into canter. And then in canter, same sort of thing. I want to feel like I can ride all four corners at any given moment. She's not allowed to tell me what tools I can use. And she wants to get a little bit stuck on your aids and stuck in her body. So I use a little bit of like counter bend and like really shallow counter canter loops. I think that's a great way to make sure that I'm not steering her with just my hand, but that I actually have my leg and seat driving up to the bridle, and that's what's steering her. Like I'm steering the engine, not the nose. And then here again, a little counter canter loop, just to help test, like thinking of that, not so much about, oh, does she need to do counter canter in a ring anytime soon? She doesn't, but it helps me make sure that I'm riding her correctly from my leg out to my hand, because counter canter is a really good test of straightness in the canter, and what she wants to do is just get stuck in a little bit of a crooked position, and then you can't ride her hind end out to the bridle, and then we're a little bit screwed as riders. When the horses take the tools away from us, there's not much that we can do. So it's all about thinking of ways we can almost trick ourselves into continuing to ride the aids correctly, and counter canters are a really good trick for the rider as much as anything. And then here I'm changing back to the left, and I'm slowing right down because I know that the canter will have added a little bit more power than she can hold. And again, I'm thinking keep her positioned to the right to make sure that I have those outside aids, and then start to think move her off my left leg. And yes, I have my left rein, but it's a little opening, softening. And then I think, actually I was riding with Sarah the other day, and she made this point, making yourself turn not around something, but inside of something really makes you put your outside leg on. So as I was pushing her off my left leg, I saw the jump, and I thought, I'm gonna make us turn inside of that jump, just to make sure that I've really got my outside aids on. And then I'm happy with this quality of trot. I feel like I can soften my left rein, and she's not going to change her line of direction or her rhythm and balance. So then we're ready to ask for canter. Same thing as the other way. The first transition I wasn't terribly happy with, but again, it's more to do with where she's at in between my leg and my hand, and less to do with the actual transition. So then I really bend her to the inside, move her off my left leg, and make sure that she's letting that energy really flow from her tail over her back out to her ears, because that's what we need for the canter transition. And better, and I almost think a little more left rein in the canter transition, just to make sure that she has to accept and follow that rein and not just brace against it. So as I asked for canter, I kind of was thinking, let's just see if I can open that rein a little bit more and make her keep following it, rather than giving her the opportunity to brace on it. Like, I know she's going to go there, so let's use it on my terms, not hers. And then same thing, this canter is a little bit more of a struggle for her, but those shallow counter canter loops, like not even really going into true counter canter this way, but just bumping out, bumping back in to make sure that I'm still riding the hind end out to the bridle and not getting stuck on that crooked positioning that she would like to stay in. So that was a really productive exercise for her. And then you can see the quality of the canter this way is a little bit harder for her, but as like a nice reward and sort of a mental good girl, just getting up out of the saddle and like letting her go forward. So forward is always nice. Forward is always the place that we want the horses to find relaxation. But even as she goes forward, it's not with her ears pinned and her head up in the air. It's in between the aids and more or less in the balance that I have started her on. So that's a bit from her school today. Hope that's helpful. And as always, if you have any questions, we'll catch up next time I see ya.